Cool, man. Cool, man. All right. So, okay, let's start off with you briefly introducing yourself about what you do, maybe a little bit of your achievement in the fitness industry.
Okay, so my name is Josh Croggon. I am a WNBF professional men's physique competitor. I am the current reigning British champion, and then I'm also I also placed third in the world last year at a pro level. Previously, I have won the UK Junior British Championships. Won various regional shows and overalls. Yeah, I'm experienced in competing. Most recently, I am now a WNBF judge. So that kind of, comes from the experience that I've had competing. And work-wise, I am a online coach and personal trainer.
Cool, cool. I do about the same thing as well. Maybe not as much in terms of achievement, and I'm not a judge. So, as far as I know, that was WNBF UK first timer was your first time judging.
Indeed, it was. It was, but I'm hoping that it's not going to be my last. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I bet. So, how did you feel judging? How many categories did you judge
I
that day?
judged I judged them all, start to finish. So it was a long day.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to get into too much details into judging every different class, but could you briefly talk about the keys for a when you're judging for men's physique?
Yeah. So with men's physique, you're looking for that nice V taper. So small waist, broad shoulders, big chest, cap delts, full arms, and shredded abs. Someone that presents himself well on stage, smiling all the time, looks comfortable and confident, flows from each pose really nicely, not looking like a robot. But
Mm.
yeah, just an overall
Would you also
aesthetic look.
yes,
So,
the aesthetic, yeah. Would you say that if someone has a very nice physique, but then he is grinding, like posing too hard at stage, would that mark down towards the final
um,
points?
I think then it kind of takes it away from being a men's physique look. If you end up really hitting your shots hard rather than like looking comfortable in a pose, you end up fitting more that bodybuilder criteria. Whereas men's
Mm.
physique, you pose really well, so that just kind of like effortless look when you're getting from your front to your side to your rear. That's what you're looking for.
Thank you so much, man. Now that you talked about my post, so I want to touch a little bit on my performance on stage, but um, to some of my viewers, they probably don't understand how it works. But there's one thing I want to point out is the call out. So I know some shows they do it differently, but mainly call outs. What I understand is there are a couple of call outs, but during my stage, there were only one call out. So we call that first call out. And usually we think by making the first call out, that would actually mean somehow you're in the top five at that moment. Could you briefly talk about what the call outs, the first call out is about? And do you think it's really the top five?
So let's take it back. So say if you've got 15 people in your class, what you would generally do is split it up into three lots of five, or a seven and an eight. You would all come
Mm.
out, do your comparisons. So your front shot, side shot, rear shot, other side, back into front. And then we'd go through like each kind of group. And then as the judges, it's our job to pick out either the top five or top six out of what we've seen.
Mhm.
How I did it on the day was like pick two from each kind of group, or pick three from each group, and then that's how I would build up my first call out. Um,
Oh.
so then the first call out is the people that generally catch your eye first. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best, because there were a lot of
Mhm.
instances at the show where someone wouldn't be in the first call out, but they would get switched with someone else. And in the bikini class, There was a girl that she didn't get on the first call out, but she got switched for someone on the outside, and she actually ended up finishing second. So if you don't get that first call out, doesn't necessarily mean that it's game over for you. Equally, if you do get that call out, it doesn't mean that you're in first. The work is still to be done. I'm sure there'll be an opportunity in the future for you to watch, to judge a show, and how physiques come to life the longer that they're on stage. It's crazy. So you could end up stepping on stage looking a little bit flat, you know, not really having that presence. And then after doing a few rounds of posing, your physique pops. Equally, it could work the other way around, where your physique's popping when you step out, and then you end up a little bit flat. So yeah, all that the comparisons are, it's the judges trying to pick out that strong group. So with the WNBF, for your class in particular, they only did one call out, but they did a lot of people that, like, say, they were in that initial first call out, but then they got swaps with people on the wings, people on the sides, and there were a lot of movement, which is what I, as a competitor, I like to see. Yeah. So the end of the call out, that's generally your top 5 or 6.
Okay, cool. So I don't know if you can recall from the morning rounds, the call outs, because I have the footage. My mom filmed it for me, so I looked back to it a couple of times. So I made the first call out. I was at the side at that time, and then I got switched to the center stage with JB, who later on won the class. JB, and me and JB, we stayed in the center stage about most of the time. We only got switched to the side for one time. I think about percent of our stage time, we got moved to the side, and towards the end, both of us got moved back to the center stage. But yeah, JB was dead center. He was dead center, and I was right beside him. So, and then the morning show ends. Would you say that? Because at that moment, I thought I'm already in the top 2, because me and JB stayed in the center stage all the time. And I talked to JB afterwards, and he thought in the evening rounds it's me and him fighting head to head for the goal. Yeah, would you say that is true, or somehow true?
But yeah, it is for your class. Yeah, it was true. I wouldn't look at it as like center stage is number 1. I'd look at it as like the middle, the center 3 are generally speaking your top 3, but that could be in any order, because what we're doing as judges, again, with the moving around, is comparing physiques. We're not just comparing you to JB. We'd want to move you and JB out to the side to compare you with another individual, or, you know, bring you back in the middle because we've changed who's in third. Do you know what I mean? It's very fluid. I was of the same opinion, like, oh, you've got to hold center stage. That's the only thing that matters. But the more shows that I've done, center stage, 9 times out of 10, yeah, it means that you're in first. But, you know, it doesn't always mean that you're in first.
Exactly.
But I would agree. You and JB in that class were the strongest 2 physiques. And it was a really great battle between you both.
Yeah, and actually, me and JB, we talked afterwards. We really enjoyed it, just going head to head, like all the turns, and So, knowing that, I understand like how the results can change, especially you guys are still judging the evening rounds. So let's say if me and JB somehow we mess up the evening rounds, some guys would have moved up the rank, and then we would just move down. I completely understand that. So for some of my viewers who knows, later that day, I didn't place in the top 5, so I wasn't awarded the medal on stage. But so at that time, I thought the first question that I have in mind, and I stayed in the location in the Kimberly Theatre until you guys finished judging, and I talked to Steve. The first question I have in mind was, did I mess up my evening rounds? How did I do? So
Look, all that was an error on writing down numbers. Like human error, minor thing. You didn't mess up your evening round at all. How the morning and the evening work. So with men's physique, you've got two criteria. You've got, I think it's musculature and symmetry. That's one. And then the other one is presentation. So your presentation is half of your grade, and you'll get marked 1 to 6. If you get lower than a 6, if you get higher than a 6, you don't get a mark. You just you've not placed essentially. So number 1 is obviously first place, and then 6 is 6th or less. The idea is your winner, generally speaking, is the person, or always speaking, is the one that's got the lowest score. So if you place first in the morning and the evening, you'll end up with a score of 2. That's perfect. No one's questioning it. You are the best. Congrats. If you get, say, a 1 and a 4, so you place first in the morning round in the quarter turns, and then for whatever reason your posing's diabolical, you've got 0 stage presence on your individual, and you place 4th on that would then, give you a score of 5, which is very beatable. So if someone came second and second on both, you would be beaten by them, even though they've not won either, judging criteria thing. So it was very, very close between you and JB, but you didn't mess up at all. It's just that you had different styles. JB's obviously pleased more judges than what you did, and it's no insult to you. It's just that's just how it works on the day. I don't think you have a worse physique than JB. I don't think you have a better. You've just got different. You're both awesome, and you're both going to have like amazing careers in like men's physique bodybuilding. It's just on that day, JB scored a better score than you did. You didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
You didn't mess up in any way.
All right, cool. Cheers, man. I've got a lot of encouragement from you guys, talking to you, Steve, and some other judges, and also some coaches in the audience. So, are you okay with me giving out the place you gave me here?
No.
No. You're not okay. Okay.
No, because it's one of them. It doesn't matter, because the rest of it's the overall judges. The only way that it would matter is if we gave every single judge's score and then their reason behind it. But we don't have access to that. It's it's locked in the vault.
Okay. In that case, I think I'll just keep it anonymous, because I've talked to the president after the show, and then he actually, because he made an error, so I understand that he felt obliged to let me know the score from every judges, but it's anonymous.
Oh, really?
Anyway. So I know the total score. So how many first place I've got, how many second place I've got from the judges, and I also saw the points that Jamie got, the winner of our class. Towards the end, so at the very end, he scored 8 points. I scored 10 points. So yeah, my question is just that I understand how it is comparing apple oranges. Apple and orange, you can't really compare them, but then it's a show anyway, so you need to give marks. So if there is any strengths or any strong points that I have over JB, what would that be?
I would say your strength over JB was just you looked you looked more comfortable on stage. Like, it were like you've competed 10 times previously. I don't know how many times you have competed, but you just look very at home and very comfortable. And your stage presence and your posing were fantastic in my eyes. I can't knock you at all. But at the end of the day as well, it is a bodybuilding competition, and JB just had that little bit more muscle. He had that typical men's physique look, the broad shoulders, the thick arms, the thick chest, tiny waist.
Yeah. Josh, do you know how small his waist is?
I'm going to guess
I,
like 26.
yeah, I've never
Is it?
seen a guy with a smaller waist because I looked through his Instagram and like I think he was like 3 or 4 weeks out. He wrote down his waist is currently at 26.5 inches.
Oof,
Mine is around
26.5.
28.
Yours
Yeah,
is
I can't beat that.
28. When
Yeah,
I
a little
turned
bit over
pro,
28. Yeah.
when I turned pro, I was 27 at my
Wow,
waist.
dang, that's small, man.
Yeah. And then I think it was 42 on my shoulders. So it's that V taper. And then I
Yeah,
present that on
exactly.
stage. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Let's move on to the next one. I'm really keen on knowing this one because we talked after the show, but I didn't have the opportunities to ask you this question. I talked to Andy, the president of WNBF UK. He said the question is, what can I work on more for my upcoming show this year, or maybe also for my next upcoming season? I talked to Andrew. Andy said I can be a little bit more conditioned, just to have a tiny smaller waist, to present on stage. And do you agree with that?
I agree. I do agree. I think smaller waist, trying to bring up your biceps a little bit more, and
Biceps.
trying to
Okay.
just get a little bit more of a 3D look on your upper back. When you hit your back shot, you kind of go arms low and then lean back. So you're struggling to
Mm-hmm.
activate your traps when you're doing your rear shot.
Mm.
So just maybe playing around with your rear posing, or trying to build up your traps a bit more and your rear delt. But yeah, the overall like package worked really well. There weren't anything that were like, blimey, that's really weak. Like everything was very proportioned. But for me,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a little bit more bicep and more upper back, rear delt. And then for things that you can work on between now and your next show, I'd just get that little bit leaner. There's a fine line with men's physique with being like, perfectly shredded, and then also
Mm-hmm.
being like, completely ripped like a bodybuilder. And honestly, you can really push it and get that body fat down before you're
Mm-hmm.
too shredded.
Oh, okay. I get that. I get that. I
Yeah.
think
So
because of stage weight, yeah.
don't be afraid to really dig deep.
Okay. Okay. Because I was 73.9 on stage, I think, on that day. I'm thinking of maybe I can push it down to the 73 or 72 point something ish.
I think between 71 and 72. You're not a very tall guy.
Okay.
Really push it. Again, I can only really compare to like me and my athletes. When I
Yeah.
when I won my pro card, I was 77 kilos on stage, and
Mm.
I'm 5'10", 178 centimeters tall. So I'm a bit taller than
Mm.
you. And I
Yeah.
was, lean.
Okay. Cool. Cool. I know I sent you a bunch of questions that I'm gonna ask. I kind of want to do one extra one.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
go
yeah.
through the posing criteria for men's physique. So they have this. They want to stress on how you pose. So you always need to keep one hand on your hip and the other hand hanging around. And looking
Yeah,
back at the footage, some people on stage they just don't do that. They do like two hand free hanging. And
yeah.
I think if because I play by the rules, I play by the criteria a lot. So I never usually just go outside of it. But I saw some guys did it. If I'm allowed to do it, I can feel that I can do better at my rear posing. Can I try doing it?
So what I wouldn't. So you've got to look at it as like that was a first time as novice show. I've competed
Mm-hmm.
at the Worlds, and they are one hand on hip. They will read out your number and go, put your hand on your hip, or you're off the stage. Keep your hand on your hip. Keep your discipline. Don't worry about what other people are doing.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
just tick every box that you could tick for them.
Gotcha. 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 So what I did was the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But then equally, the other guys didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that's an inexperienced thing that they will be introduced to later on down the line.
Okay.
If we're
Okay.
telling
Cool.
every single person to shut up, Siri. If we're telling every single person to put one hand on hip, the show would have been 3 times longer. It's like doing the bodybuilding shots. A lot of people, when they were doing like the rear relax or whatever, they were like going onto the calves, and you're meant to do it flat footed. But if we're telling everyone to, stay flat footed, it'd have just drawn it out longer. And you've got to kind of use your common sense a little bit with it. But as a fellow competitor, keep that hand on your hip. And how you kind of combat that, if you feel like you can connect better, is just literally get into the shot without your hand on your hip and then go hand on hip. So all that you're doing here is rotating your forearm. It's not really going to interfere with your back. So you hit your back shot. So for me, it'd be there, and then one hand on hip straight into it again.
Okay.
It's just,
sorry.
Go on, carry on.
Sorry. I know we are way past the 15 minutes mark now, but I just
don't worry about it.
Because I actually scheduled a call with Steve later on in the day, but because you are the men's physique pro, so I need to ask you this question. If you do remember my front post, I do the straight on pose instead of the hip slight twist. Would you say that I would look better if I do that? Because everyone else did the twist, and I'm the only one.
I was going to wait until we finished recording, and I was going to say, I think you might benefit from just doing that twist, just a little twist, and getting that oblique involved a bit more.
Yeah.
It just makes, so if you imagine that's your waist, if you twist it, it's still the same size waist, but as a judge and, everyone spectating, you look smaller.
Yes.
And
I agree.
That's what you're trying to show, a really small waist.
Okay, cool. I get that, but then I talked to some of my buddies and my coach, and then they said, I think you look quite good in the front, the bang on straight front pose. So I kind of went with that. But yeah, I'll try a few more poses and then just see,
I've just said it like previously at the Worlds. They were very harsh on your hips are forward. Like that, how you did it with one hand on your hip, one hand out to the side, that's how they want it. But, with your free posing round, I think you'd look pretty good with the almost like relaxed look rather than the hard, front on. Do you know Ryan Terry?
I do know, yeah.
Yeah. So you hit that front shot similar to how Ryan Terry hits it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that like, oh yeah, Ryan Terry's the best. He might look a little bit better with that, like, hip twist rather than square on.
True.
Just play around with it.
Yeah. I got inspired by him because he did one video telling the guys saying that, you have a tiny waist, just be confident, just, hit the straight on front post. But So my next question is, some guys, they like to push you around, they like to cover you up on stage. I look back to my footage. There's this guy, he's always trying to cover me up. The moment we step on stage, the quarter turns, the pose down, he has his own space, but he just likes to step in front of me. And then a little bit of elbow, when we do the back pose. How would you come across that, and how would you just deal with that?
I have come across it, and I have obviously dealt with it on stage. What you've got to remember, right? When you're doing that rear shot and you're bumping elbows or someone's arms covering your arm, we're looking at your back. We're not looking at your arms. We're looking at your back. As long as your back's not covered, it's not going to hamper you. You see like a lot of people like trying to step back and like move their arms around whoever it is. It's just one of them. It's annoying more than anything, but it doesn't affect the end result. If you've got a better back than them, then the scores are going to show. It doesn't matter if they're bumping elbows with you. But equally, if they've got a better back than you and they're bumping elbows, they're not going to get scored up because we can see their arms as well. We're looking at the back. It doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right. I think that's all for the questions, man. Do you have anything you'd like to say to my audience or to me?
What's the plans now going forward for you? I saw that you wanted to do the Indonesia show.
Oh, all right. Okay. So, okay, Josh. To be honest, my plan this year was to compete for as long as I could. I always wanted to do a September show. That should be the main show that I'm going for. But it was supposed to be the WNBF Singapore because that's the month. They did it in 2019 in September, but then that one got postponed and then later on got canceled. So, and then I happened to have this my sister's graduation travel thing to the UK, and then I saw this UK first timer show. So I just went on and did it. So my season started early, and I always wanted to end my season around December. So I have the Indonesia show lined up right after the UK show, but then that one got cancelled very last minute. Very unprofessional, very poorly managed show. I talked to the owner of the WNBF, and then he said he made a post this today saying that it's a very bad experience for everyone. They apologize, and then they will look into it. So, okay, to answer your question, my upcoming show is in 17th of September, WNBF Philippines.
Cool.
And
Cool.
I'm currently thinking if I should go back to do the supernaturals. But the thing is, if I do, I might just end my season there because there's a lot of traveling to do, and I did it once already. I know how tiring it can be traveling so far away. But because I'm currently thinking between the UK Supernaturals or the WNBF Taiwan. So if I do the Taiwan one, they're both 1 week away. So if I do the Taiwan one, I'll end my season in December. I'll do a local show just for fun, have my mates to do it with me. I have I have one client that signed up for that show, and I have a couple of buddies that are going for that as well. So just gonna have fun, end my season right there, and then just chill for 2 nights. And that's pretty much it. I hope I can grab a couple more medals, just to
How old are you, Sin?
I think I know your age. I think I'm 2 years older than you.
Oh yeah, right, okay.
I'm born in '95.
Right, yeah. You're 2 years older.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
interesting. If I was in your position, I'd try and do a few more shows now. Just get that little bit leaner, coming that bit sharper.
Okay.
Yeah, and get whatever you can. Try and get a pro card. Why not? It's the best thing ever.
All right, Joe. Yo, I'll try, man. I'll try. If the opportunities comes to it, I'll just do my best. Nonetheless, I'll just throw that question back at you. When are you gonna compete next? You look phenomenal, by the way, last year.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. So my plan is to compete at the back end of next year. So because I'm a pro now, it's a little bit more awkward, let's say, to compete. I think there's a pro show in Switzerland, there's one in Germany, or it might be Italy or something, and then it's the Worlds in Los Angeles. So it'll be a couple of shows as like warm-ups, and then heading over to the States and competing, trying to win that world title, which is a bit crazy to be saying.
Yeah, man. Do you look to be a little heavier than you were last year?
My feedback last year was to not get any heavier, so it was yeah. So my feedback was to adjust my posing a little bit, and not get as lean, and just kind of, that should be enough. But you never know who's going to turn up.
Yeah, I became your fanboy last year after seeing you on stage, and you were shredded. You were shredded. I would say, yeah, maybe stay a little
softer,
a little softer. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, man. Thank you.
that last year I was prepping for 25 weeks, so it was a little bit longer than what I wanted, but obviously, you know, just ended up taking more and more fat off. But yeah, next year it'll be a different story.
All right, man. I look forward to that. Just keep updating on your YouTube, Instagram, you know.
Of course, mate. Yeah.
Wow.
So let me plug myself. If you're not following me already,
go ahead.
follow me on Instagram, Josh Croggon _ and then subscribe to the YouTube, Josh Croggon. Easy peasy. Yeah, nice chatting to you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for doing this this video chat with me. Like, let's say if there's something to talk about, are you down for doing a podcast feature in future? All right, man. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
It's really nice.
Have a good day.
You too, man. Take care.
You too, brother. Take care. Ta-ra.
Take care.